People look back at the Dodgers season and try to understand why the bullpen never really felt settled. One storyline keeps pushing its way to the front, and that is the long and frustrating absence of Evan Phillips. From the outside, it felt like the relief group was constantly being patched together, always one move away from stability, but never quite getting there. Inside that picture, Phillips was supposed to be the anchor, the calm presence who had earned trust since his breakout a few seasons earlier, and instead his entire year became a waiting game that never truly paid off. Going into spring, there was already an understanding that Phillips was not going to have a smooth start. The shoulder issue that kept him out of the previous World Series had not magically disappeared, and the recovery timeline was always going to cut into the early portion of the schedule. Still, even with that knowledge, the scale of his absence caught everyone off guard. Missing the first chunk of games immediately forced the Dodgers to reshuffle roles, asking pitchers to work higher leverage than planned and stretching depth that was never meant to be exposed so early. By the time the season got rolling, the bullpen was already living day-to-day, and every update on Phillips felt like it carried extra weight. When he finally began facing hitters again near the end of March, there was a sense of cautious optimism. The rehab stint that followed did not look clean on paper, but the organization stayed focused on the process rather than the stat line, believing his experience would translate once the lights came back on. That belief became even more important as injuries continued to pile up around him. When Phillips was activated in mid-April, it came at a moment when the bullpen desperately needed clarity. Another established reliever had just gone down, and the Dodgers were again adjusting assignments on the fly. Phillips was thrown straight into meaningful situations, not eased in with low-stress innings, but asked to protect leads and face the heart of opposing lineups. In his first appearances, he delivered exactly what the team hoped for, showing sharp command and an ability to miss bats despite the long layoff. Those early outings mattered more than the box score. Even though he only logged a handful of innings, the outs he recorded came in moments where the game could have easily slipped away. It was a reminder of why he had become such a trusted option in previous seasons. And for a brief stretch, it felt like the bullpen finally had its spine back. The problem was that the body never allowed that feeling to last. After just a few appearances, discomfort in his right forearm surfaced, and the optimism that had slowly built up evaporated almost overnight. The team explored conservative options, hoping rest and treatment could avoid the worst outcome. But the issue refused to settle. Eventually, surgery became unavoidable, ending his season almost as soon as it had begun and leaving the bullpen once again searching for answers. From a performance standpoint, Phillips' line told a strange story. On paper, everything looked perfect. He did not allow a run. His control remained sharp, and hitters struggled to square him up. But the reality was that the sample size was painfully small, a snapshot of what might have been rather than a true season. For a pitcher in his early 30s, facing a major procedure and an uncertain recovery timeline, that reality carries heavy consequences. The ripple effects extended beyond the field, with arbitration looming and a significant salary attached to his name. The Dodgers were forced into a difficult decision once the season ended. Non-tendering Phillips was not a statement about his value as a pitcher, but a reflection of timing, finances, and the risk tied to his health. It closed one chapter while leaving the door slightly open for another, depending on how his recovery unfolds and how the market views his upside. One of the lasting images from his brief return came during a tight game on the road, when he navigated the most dangerous part of the opposing lineup and preserved a narrow lead. It was a reminder of the edge he brings when healthy, the kind of inning that shifts momentum and settles a dugout. Moments like that are exactly what the Dodgers envisioned when the season began, and exactly what they missed for most of the year as the bullpen tried to survive without its most reliable piece. As the offseason unfolded, the silence around major moves felt louder than usual, especially for a fan base accustomed to constant headlines. Expectations were high, fueled by recent success and the sense that the roster still had room to grow, but weeks passed with little movement. The front office made a couple of calculated additions, bringing back a familiar infielder for depth and leadership, while also securing an experienced closer whose entrance alone is enough to energize a stadium. Beyond that, though, the winter settled into an uneasy pause, leaving many questions unanswered. One of the biggest talking points remained the outfield, an area that never quite found consistency the year before. There is flexibility within the roster to experiment internally, but the feeling persists that another proven bat or steady defender could balance things out. At the same time, the infield presents intriguing possibilities, especially with the idea that certain established players around the league may be open to positional changes. That kind of versatility fits neatly with how the Dodgers like to build, even if rival teams are lurking with similar intentions. Hovering above all of this is the continued presence of Shohei Ohtani, whose impact has already reshaped the franchise in ways that go beyond box scores. Season after season, he keeps redefining what dominance looks like, breaking records that once felt untouchable and doing it with a level of consistency that borders on routine. What stands out now is not just the raw power or the highlight moments, but the refinement in his approach. He has become increasingly difficult to game plan against, punishing mistakes from both sides of the mound and adjusting seamlessly to different pitch types and situations. That evolution is part of why this era of Dodgers baseball feels so significant. Ohtani is not simply adding numbers to the stat sheet. He is setting a tone, elevating expectations for everyone around him. Younger players see what preparation and adaptability look like at the highest level, while veterans benefit from the constant pressure he applies to opposing teams. It is a rare blend of star power and substance, and it continues to define the organization's identity. Away from the major league spotlight, there is also quiet progress being made in player development. The completion of a new minor league stadium marks more than just an infrastructure upgrade. It represents a long-term investment in the next wave of talent, offering an environment that mirrors big league standards and helps prospects adjust faster. For an organization that values depth and sustainability, that kind of foundation matters just as much as any splashy signing. Of course, all of these moves and ambitions come with a financial reality that cannot be ignored. The Dodgers once again found themselves well above the league's spending threshold, resulting in a historic tax bill. Crossing that line year after year brings escalating penalties, and the numbers attached to those penalties have reached unprecedented levels. It is a direct reflection of an all-in approach, one that prioritizes championships over restraint, but it also sharpens scrutiny around every contract and every decision. The payroll soared far beyond the set limit, driven by superstar deals and a willingness to absorb short-term pain for long-term gain. Other teams joined them in paying penalties, but none matched the sheer scale of what the Dodgers committed. Some organizations managed to pull back under the threshold after previous seasons, resetting their status, while the Dodgers continued to push forward, accepting the cost as part of the pursuit. Looking ahead, the threshold rises again, but so does the challenge. Even with money coming off the books, new contracts quickly fill the space, and maintaining flexibility becomes harder with each passing year. The addition of a high-profile closer alone accounts for a substantial chunk of future payroll, underscoring how quickly financial breathing room disappears. This context frames every offseason conversation. Fans debate whether the spending is sustainable, whether prospects should be trusted more, or whether another bold move is inevitable. The front office operates within that tension, balancing immediate contention with the realities of long-term planning. What remains clear is that the Dodgers are committed to staying at the top, even if the path there grows more expensive and complex with each season. As the calendar turns and the focus shifts toward the next season, the weight of recent years hangs over every decision the Dodgers make. This is a franchise operating in a narrow window where expectations are not just to contend, but to dominate. Anything short of deep postseason success feels incomplete, and that pressure seeps into how the roster is evaluated from top to bottom. The lessons from last season, especially the fragility of the bullpen, are impossible to ignore, even as optimism naturally returns with a fresh start. Health, more than talent, remains the central variable. The organization has no shortage of arms with upside, but reliability proved elusive when it mattered most. The constant shuffling of roles, the reliance on pitchers being asked to do more than originally planned, and the absence of familiar in-game options created a sense of instability that never fully disappeared. It is a reminder that depth on paper does not always translate to consistency on the field, particularly over the grind of a long season. At the same time, there is a quiet confidence in the way the Dodgers continue to develop and identify talent. Young players are pushed into meaningful roles earlier than expected, not out of desperation, but because the organization trusts its system. That trust has paid off before, and it will be tested again as new faces are asked to support an aging core and absorb the inevitable bumps along the way. The balance between patience and urgency defines this phase of the team's evolution. The lineup, anchored by generational ability, still carries the power to overwhelm opponents on any given night. What becomes increasingly important is the connective tissue around those stars, the players who extend innings, move runners, and turn close games in their favor. Championship seasons are often decided in the margins, and the Dodgers know better than most how thin those margins can be. Financially, the conversation never truly fades. Operating at the top of the spending spectrum brings both advantages and constraints. It allows the front office to stay aggressive, but it also magnifies mistakes and limits room for error. Every contract carries ripple effects that stretch years into the future, influencing not just who arrives, but who eventually has to leave. Navigating that landscape requires precision, especially as the penalties for exceeding limits continue to escalate. What emerges from all of this is a sense of controlled intensity. There is no panic, no drastic overhaul, but also no complacency. The Dodgers understand that windows can close faster than expected, often due to factors no one can fully control. That understanding drives a mindset where every season matters, every roster spot counts, and every inning carries weight. As preparations continue and plans take shape, the echoes of last season serve as both warning and motivation. The talent is there, the ambition is undeniable, and the standard remains unchanged. The challenge now lies in aligning health, timing, and execution in a way that finally brings everything together when it matters most. Still, the belief inside the organization remains strong. There is confidence in the core, trust in the development pipeline, and an understanding that a season like 2025, frustrating as it was, does not erase years of sustained excellence. Instead, it serves as a reminder that dominance in baseball is never permanent, only maintained through constant adjustment. The Dodgers are not searching for an identity. They are refining it, responding to challenges rather than retreating from them. As the next season approaches, the conversation will continue to circle back to health, execution, and the ability to finish games cleanly. The lessons learned from a bullpen stretched thin, from stars sidelined at the worst possible moments, and from the pressure that comes with massive expectations, all linger beneath the surface. This team knows what it looks like when everything clicks, and it also knows how quickly that vision can blur when one piece falls out of place. But before we move forward, don't forget to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest news about the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the news, so drop a comment below. In what could be one of the most shocking moves in recent Major League Baseball history, whispers from inside MLB circles suggest that the Los Angeles Dodgers are preparing a massive, potentially record-breaking offer for star shortstop Fernando Tatis Jr. Sources close to the situation hint that the Dodgers front office is exploring every avenue to lure the young phenom to Los Angeles, signaling a level of ambition that could reshape the landscape of the league. Tatis, who has captivated fans with his electric combination of power, speed, and charisma, has become one of the most coveted talents in baseball. While multiple teams have reportedly expressed interest, the Dodgers' reputation for big splashes in the free agent market and their relentless pursuit of championship-caliber talent positions them as a frontrunner. Insiders suggest that the Dodgers are considering a package that could include both financial incentives and potential roster moves to create space for Tatis, underscoring just how serious the organization is about making a statement. The mere idea of Tatis donning the Dodgers' iconic blue and white uniform has sent shockwaves through the baseball community. Speculation is rampant not only about the financial magnitude of the offer, but also about how this move could alter the dynamics of the National League. Analysts are already debating the potential ripple effects on team chemistry, payroll flexibility, and future trade strategies, with some suggesting that a deal of this scale could signal a new era of super team building in MLB. Fans, meanwhile, are split between excitement and skepticism. Social media is awash with conjecture, memes, and heated debates about whether Tatis' aggressive playing style and marketability make him the perfect fit for Los Angeles, or whether the pressure of joining one of baseball's most scrutinized franchises could hinder his development. The Dodgers front office has remained tight-lipped, refusing to confirm or deny the rumors. But insiders say preliminary discussions are already underway, hinting that the league could be in for a dramatic shakeup. While no official statements have been made, the tantalizing prospect of Fernando Tatis Jr. in Dodger blue continues to dominate sports chatter. Should the deal materialize, it would not only represent a blockbuster acquisition, but also a defining moment for both Tatis' career and the Dodgers' ambitions, leaving fans and analysts alike eagerly watching the unfolding drama. That's all for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay up to date with exclusive news about the Los Angeles Dodgers, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We always appreciate your comments and feedback. See you in the next video.